So now for the best and brightest. Mary is here, and everyone knows she has a very long and accomplished career in government, both at the local and state level. She has numerous accomplishments, but to name a few, she was vice chair of the Framingham Finance Committee, CFO of the Mass Lottery, and served in the state treasurer's office. She served on the Mass Commission on Judicial Conduct and on the board of the Commonwealth Corporation. She was appointed in the Romney administration on the board of the Mass Turnpike Authority. And if that wasn't enough, Mary is also active in private and non-profit arena. She was a senior manager at Ernst & Young and a partner at the Ascension Group. And currently she's director of finance and administration at the Pioneer Institute, which is really doing a great job at improving the accountability of government here in Massachusetts. Born in Brighton, Mary currently lives in Framingham with her husband and 2 sons. And so, big hand for Mary.
It's a pleasure to be here to support Mike in his effort, and this is a great effort and an important effort for this region. I mean, this whole district has been underserved by our representative for a number of years. And we have an opportunity to get a thoughtful person that has conservative values into Congress. And we have a couple weeks to do it, to get him in, because step 1 is the primary. And I can't say how important it is. You can't win a general unless you win the primary. So you can't take it lightly. You have to make sure that if you support Mike, that you're out there, getting out the vote. And for anyone that can work for him on election day, that's the key. Because if you can't get, this is a special election, it's not going to be a huge turnout. A few votes makes a difference. So if people are calling from wherever you have facilities to ID voters, that's how you're going to win. You know, getting the people out, because the Democrats, they have it down. That's going to be a crazy primary to see what happens. But this primary is step 1, to get Mike in December. It starts out with a lot of hard work on election day, and over the next 2 weeks, I'm sure you're doing it. You're IDing all your voters. And you don't just call them in the morning, you call them in the afternoon. And you're probably not going to have enough people to be in the polls, but you have to try to do your best to get them out and keep them out. That's the only way to win. It doesn't just happen by thinking you're going to win and being a great candidate. It's down to tactics on election day. And with Mike, I'm so thrilled that he is not in support of what's going on in Washington with respect to education. I'm just going to talk briefly about this because it's such an important issue, especially anyone that has kids coming through, anyone who cares about how education is going to impact the future of this country. But right now, with what's going on with Common Core, it's just a disgrace in terms of the standards we have in Massachusetts right now are top in the country. They say, oh, Americans, we're number 23 in the world, our education system isn't working. But Massachusetts, we rate tops in the national report card in 4th grade reading, 4th grade math, 8th grade reading, 8th grade math. We're at the top of the NAEP tests. If you take Massachusetts students and test them with the students of the Netherlands, of South Korea, Massachusetts score right up there. They're top. They're tied in 8th grade math in these national tests. So why on earth do we have new national standards? So it might be great for students in Alabama. Maybe they're getting better standards. But we're already at the top. So what they're doing to education, first of all, it's illegal. And in Congress, you could fight this because the president never went through Congress, basically imposed this on the states by saying, if you want race to the top funds, if you want a waiver from No Child Left Behind, you basically have to sign up with Common Core, national curriculum. In violation, the federal government is not supposed to be involved with local curriculum. It's in violation of 3 federal laws. So what's happening is English education. Maybe it's not so bad at the lower levels, but what they're doing is they're flip flip-flopping classic literature with informational texts. So what the high school classroom speak 80% classic literature, Huckleberry Finn, the great works where you really learn how to, the richness of vocabulary, you see a bit of history. They're taking that out. That won't be part of the curriculum anymore. It's classic literature, the heavy classic literature that we get in Massachusetts, that contributes to our strength in testing. That's going down. So we have 8 right now currently in the high school classroom, 80% classic literature, 20% informational texts. It's going to flip-flop, 70% informational text, 30% classic literature. So the kids are going to learn these, in favor of these 20th century skills. They're going to read about executive orders and things like that, but they're going to lose out on the classics. It's very sad. And most recently, we're learning what's happening to the math standards in Massachusetts. For someone who's interested, how are we going to have more nanophysicists come out of Massachusetts when we're dropping, April, right now, the goal is to have Algebra 1 in 9th grade. They're reducing it down in 8th grade, they're pushing it back to 9th grade. They're taking pre-calculus and calculus out of the out of the curriculums. It's going to be okay. So how are these schools, the top schools are still going to be able to get students because the wealthy suburbs are still going to be able to teach it. But in the poorer suburbs, in the city where education is really struggling, their standards are going to go down. So what this does is it increases the divide. They're trying to get everyone to graduate, but it increases the divide so that the students that are lucky enough to be in the wealthier suburbs to go to private school, they're going to be head and shoulders above the average kid. And I got my child's grades last year in math. He was 4th grade going to 5th. And I can see this happening because they hadn't started to change the curriculum. They started to change it last year. I could see specific areas of math that were applicable in the first half of the year, but they were not applicable in the second half of the year because they said they're no longer teaching them at that level. There's a little asterisk. So you can see it's already happened. They're already pushing back the progress. So what does that mean to us? What does that mean to them? The schools like Harvard, they're not going to want to have remedial education. And taking this on as an issue is a huge one. And people care about their children's education. And especially in areas that you're campaigning with in the city, it's a top issue. And so it's one more reason to support Mike and to get him in so he can start to reverse some of this stuff that's going on. We don't want a national education. We want local controls, local curriculum, where parents know what's best for their kids.